Let's talk about operators in Swift in the simplest way possible. First of all, what are operators? Operators are special symbols or words that perform actions on values. They help us check values, change values, or combine values in our code. If you've used languages like C before, Swift's operators will feel familiar. But the good news is, Swift makes them safer and easier to read. Now, let's understand some basic operator terminology. Operators are grouped based on how many values they work with. First, we have unary operators. Unary operators work with only one value. There are two types. Prefix unary operators, which come before the value, like an exclamation mark before a variable. Postfix unary operators, which come after the value, like we use in force unwrapping the value. We will see it next part. Next, we have binary operators. Binary operators work with two values. A simple example is adding two numbers, like 2 plus 3. Finally, we have the ternary operator. This operator works with three values, and Swift has only one of these. It checks a condition and then chooses between two results, one if the condition is true and another if it's false. And that's the foundation of Swift's basic operators: simple, powerful, and easy to understand.
Let's talk about the assignment operator in Swift. This operator is used to give a value to a variable or constant. It's simple. You use equals to assign a value. For example, let a equal 5. Now a holds the value 5. Var b equals 10, and b is set to 10. Then you can assign one variable's value to another. b equals a. Now b becomes 5. Pretty easy, right? But Swift also lets you assign multiple values at once, thanks to tuple assignment. Let's say you want to assign values to x and y in one line. Let x, y equals 10, 20. Now x is 10 and y is 20. Simple. One important thing to note, Swift's equals does not return a value. This means you can't use it in conditions like if x equals y. This would cause an error. Instead, use equals equals for comparisons. And that's how the assignment operator works in Swift. Easy, right?
Next up, let's talk about arithmetic operators in Swift. These are the basic operators used for math: plus for addition, minus for subtraction, times for multiplication, and divide for division. Some quick examples. 1 plus 2 gives 3, 5 minus 3 gives 2, 2 times 3 gives 6, and 10.0 divided by 2.5 gives 4.0. Here's a neat trick. The plus operator can also join strings. For example, hello, space, plus world, exclamation point, becomes hello, space, world, exclamation point. By default, Swift prevents number overflow, so you won't accidentally wrap around large numbers. If you do want that wraparound behavior, Swift has special overflow operators like and plus and minus. And that's all you need to know to start using arithmetic operators safely and effectively in Swift. Let's look at the modulus operator in Swift. This operator gives you the remainder after division. For example, 9% 4 gives 1. Now here's why. When you divide 9 by 4, you get 2 with 1 left over. That leftover is your remainder. And that's exactly what the percent operator gives you, like a leftover calculator. So in short, 9% 4 equals 1. The remainder is 1. Simple.
Let's quickly go over unary plus and unary minus. Unary plus just returns the value as it is. For example, if let a equals -6, then let b equals plus a will also be -6. It doesn't change the number at all. Unary minus makes a number negative. If you had a positive number, applying the unary minus would turn it negative. These are useful for maintaining symmetry in your code when dealing with negative values. It helps keep things clean and predictable. Next, let's dive into compound assignment operators. These operators combine math and assignment into one simple action. Here's how they work. Plus equals is the same as A equals A plus B. Minus equals is the same as A equals A minus B. Multiply equals is the same as A equals A times B. Divide equals is the same as A equals A divided by B. And percent equals is the same as A equals A modulus B. Let's see some examples. For a simple assignment, let A equals 10, let B equals 20, and let C equals 30. For compound assignment, var D equals 10, now D plus equals 20 makes D 30, and D plus equals 30 makes D 60. If we subtract, var E equals 10, then E minus equals 20 makes E negative 10, and E minus equals 30 makes E negative 40. For multiplication, F equals 10, F multiply equals 20 makes F 200, and F multiply equals 30 makes F 6000. For division, G equals 10, G divided by equals 20 makes G 0.5, and G divided by equals 30 makes G 0.0167. Finally, with the modulus, H equals 10, H modulus equals 20 makes H 10, and H modulus equals 30 makes H 10. As you can see, these compound assignment operators simplify your code and make it easier to update variables in one step. Let's talk about comparison operators in Swift. These are used to compare two values and return a Boolean value, true or false. Here are the common ones. Double equals checks if two values are equal. Exclamation point equals checks if two values are not equal. Greater than checks if one value is greater than another. Less than checks if one value is less than another. Greater than or equal to checks if one value is greater than or equal to another. Less than or equal to checks if one value is less than or equal to another. Let's see these in action. Let A equals 5 and let B equals 10. A equals B is false. A not equal to B is true. A greater than B is false. A greater than or equal to B is false. A less than B is true. A less than or equal to B is true. Swift also has identity operators for reference types. Double equals checks if two references point to the same object. Exclamation point double equals checks if two references do not point to the same object. But those identity operators are explained further in the documentation. And that's how comparison operators work in Swift. Next, let's look at range operators in Swift. Range operators let you express a sequence of values easily. First, the closed range, written as A dot dot B. It includes both ends of the range. For example, for I in 1 dot dot 5, print I. This prints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then there's the half-open range, written as A dot dot less than B. It includes the start but excludes the end. So for I in 1 dot dot less than 5 prints 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice it stops before 5. Swift also supports one-sided ranges, which start or end at one side only. For example, if you have let names equals Anna, Alex, Brian, Jack, then let after 2 gives you Brian and Jack, and names dot dot 2 gives you Anna, Alex, Brian. Range operators make it really easy to work with sequences and slices of arrays in Swift.
Let's talk about the nil coalescing operator in Swift, written as question mark, question mark. This operator provides a default value when something is nil. For example, if you have let input, string question mark equals nil, and then use let result equals input question mark guessed, since input is nil, the default value guessed is used, so the result would be guessed. Now, if input actually had a value, that value would be used instead of the default. For instance, if input were John, then let result equals input question mark guessed would make result John. It's a quick way to provide a fallback value when something might be nil.